Brilliant. So Stephen, hi man, nice to talk to you. We've known each other for a long time, but obviously a lot of people don't know you. So tell us a bit about yourself and your musical journey, please.
Well, my musical journey, Paul, mainly listening to tunes that my dad played, really, on the family gram, because all kind of West Indian families, they always had the gram. And ours was a little bit newer than I think most. We had an old thing called a Rigonda, this old Russian gram. You bought them in curries for about 200 quid at the time, which was a lot of money back at that time.
It was.
Yeah. So the old man, he worked at the old at the post office up in the city, and they had like a guy that used to sell vinyl. It's like a vinyl club in the post office. So all the guys would get together, and this guy, I think he kind of done it once a week. So he got the gram and started buying vinyl, and I just used to lay down the vinyl that he bought at home, and that was the interest. So like,
can I ask you, sorry to interrupt, when are we talking, Steve? What period of time? Obviously since the Second World War, so we're talking.
we're talking here. We're talking like the 1970s.
That's the musical.
Yeah, so that's the kind of time that we're talking about. So the kind of stuff that he was bringing home, he had all of the Al Green stuff, literally. Otis Redding, Temptations, Roy C. On the reggae tip, it was all of the kind of Tighten Up series and all of the kind of Trojan material. And all of that kind of gear, all the stuff that you would know.
So that's what got you first into the music, was through your dad and the vinyl at that stage. So you would have been a younger man, getting into it. Okay, so how did it get into a more outside facing thing? So
I guess there's a little bit more to it than that, I suppose. Again, kind of from an early age, I had an interest in electronics alongside the music thing. So with the old family gram, I'd done a bit of an upgrade on it, or a conversion, or what we do. No, we call it a modification. I modified it a bit. So I pulled the old turntable out because it was in a drawer. And because at the time I was into hi-fi, and I saw all these separates, so I took the turntable out and extended all the cables and everything and put it on top of the gram. And
you got to say,
got in a lot of trouble for it. Trust me, you know how things were back then.
Your dad come back and
West Indian parents
taking apart, £200 spent on it, and you've just remade it.
Yeah, so like I said, tried to make it into like hi-fi separates and things like that. But then probably from about the age of 10 or 11, I started buying my own stuff and checking out record shops. So one of the earlier tunes I can remember buying was Coxsone, King of the Dub Rock. That was one of my first vinyl albums, which I still own to this day. Laid it down a few times on Soul Roots, in fact. Still played. Then the radio interest, of course, at the time you had like shows like Steve Barnard, Rodigan, Tony Williams, and really early DJ Tommy Vance. TV on reggae. So we're going back someday, and then things kind of progressed up to me joining up with Austin and the Mighty Observer, Spider. So I got involved with that. And then
is that where you got your handle, your name?
What, Butterfly? Yeah, Butterfly came from Butterfly.
Tell us about
I don't know. Austin is one of these kind of guys, and like with sound systems, they always have kind of nicknames and that. And I came on the scene and he called me that. I can't, for the life of me, I can't really tell you the reason behind it, but maybe I'll have to ask him. But
you need to know, man. Is it because you float like one and you sting like the bee? It must.
Yeah, it could be something like that. Could be something like that. But
lovely.
I have to check in with him. I'll check in with him on that one. Due to speak to him soon.
And but just to interrupt you, Steve, to those who don't know, we're talking Austin Palmer, who's presently based in Jamaica, but who was the head of a legendary sound system still going called Mighty Jar Observer. So you're with them from what? We're talking mid-70s?
Probably about no, not as early as that. Probably about, so I'd say probably a couple of years before I left school, I suppose. So we're talking probably about 1978, around about that time. About 1978, and they'd already been in action for 5 years. I think he started it in 1973, so it's still quite young, you know.
No, South London Sound.
South London Sound, based out of Croydon, Thornton Heath. That's where it originated from, and then obviously now it's a worldwide operation. He goes all over the place.
So, well, tell us what you know about that.
Yeah, so at the time when I joined up there, his daytime job, he worked for Rough Trade, so he's a record distributor.
Yeah.
Yes, mobile record transit van stocked up with punk, reggae, you name it. It was on the van as Record Shack. So he was moving around to different record shops, Greensleeves being one of them, you know, supplying, picking up, distributing all sorts of stuff and whatever. You know, and your high street names going to Our Price, Virgin, and then shops that you'd know more over your side, Honest John's, shops like that. So I was, you know, picking up tunes intermittently when you could afford to, and from different shops and that. But obviously he was so connected in the music business, so by night it was going to studio and cutting dub. So, you know, spent a lot of time in some of the dub cutting studios in Notting Hill in the basement. Should have bought a house at the time because they were cheap. And I would have been sorted. But there you go.
Down there.
Didn't manage to do that. But yeah, and it kind of moved on from there. And then obviously had the added benefit when you went into Rough Trade. Obviously they were based in Notting Hill. You meet people. Black Uhuru were in there. Gregory Isaacs passed through, but not Bernie Spear, Bonnie Whaler, Mikey Dread at the controls, BBC. All of these kind of people. So it was good, you know. So the exposure.
Steve, I mean, this is like, I mean, we should, to be honest, we should do this over a longer period because the stories, man, and it's important stories to be told. But for you, you've got an education right there at the footsteps of a great man doing his thing on a day-to-day business. But you didn't know really that that's what you were doing at that time. Do you know what I mean? It's just like you're doing it without appreciating how significant it was for a lot.
Probably one of the, you know, one of the biggest achievements, without an element of a doubt, is going to be because Austin, being connected with Rough Trade, he got an offer to play at well, basically using the sound system for yeah, see, you got me here now, for the film Babylon.
Yes.
Shaka.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was there for the whole of that shoot. So basically
the filming of it, that one there when it went down.
Yeah. So I was there in that. There's a couple of shots of Austin. There's something of me right in the background. You got to look really hard to see it. But
I'll be watching it closely to look for you, man. I tell you.
Yeah. So I was there for that. That's over in Lewisham. That's where it was shot. And the
sound featured in that. So you're saying along with Shaka.
Yeah, along with Shaka. So basically, it was more for the backdrops of the boxes and everything like that. Yeah, that's what they wanted. They wanted, obviously, it had to be a mocked up real dance. So I had to listen to the original cut of Warrior Charge about 100,000 times on the take. Yeah, and obviously we got it up. Yeah, wicked. So, and I mean, and then that moved on, Paul, into bigger stuff than that, right? Because for some weird and wonderful reason, and I was talking to Kelvin, another one of the sound members, owners, the other day, and we were trying to work out why we were the sound that got invited to the Cannes Film Festival, because I went Cannes Film Festival when they launched that, yeah. And walked up the red carpet and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, got pictures to support that. And also, I've done a lot of big stuff. Yeah.
What's the answer to that question? Why were you the one?
I don't know. I don't know because Shaka could have gone, but Shaka didn't go. We went. Yeah. So I think it was I don't know. It's
Shaka turned it down, man. That's it. Shaka turned it
down. He turned it down. So and that. And then other stuff are more on the kind of sound system, the technical side. You know, I've got exposure because, as you know, Austin is a valve amp man. You know,
so proper.
At the time he's using 3 pieces of 6. They come in 600 watt pieces, And the builder was a guy called Metro. So I don't know if you know anything about Metro. Metro built Shaka's amps and all. So I got to know Metro quite well. So he was up in a tower block in Walthamstow. So you know, all of this stuff, you put it together, it's wicked stuff. You know, so
you're working on the, obviously you've got the playing of the sound out at dance, whatever, and films. And then you've also got the actual the technical side, the whole building of the sound. You were involved in the electronic side of it as well, very much.
Well, not so much. I wasn't really involved in the. I get when I came on the scene, I gave him my advice of possibly how to improve things, how we should be wiring things, and I get the job. So seeing as I was at college and all, so I was doing the electronic courses, so I get the job as the soldering iron and doing the repairs of the cannon plugs, RCA's, and all
I've seen you in action, so I know you're.
Yeah. So I got into that side of it. I mean, in the design and stuff, I wasn't involved in the design. That was Metro and other people building preamps and stuff like that. But I got the exposure to know these guys.
Exactly, you're there at that time, being kind of, as you say, immersed in it. And then also with the music, were you ever allowed to select, or you know, did you get?
Yeah. So there was a time. Austin will tell you this. There was a time when because Austin was a big football player, could have played pro as it goes. I only learned this quite recently, a couple of years ago. Can't remember the team. It could have been Southampton. He could have gone for.
Wow.
But so he played for a team called Yabak. That I think they were based out in Tooting, and unfortunately, fortunately for me, he broke his leg. He had to have it pinned up. Really, it was a really bad break. So in that time, the Observer record box. Obviously, I was living at home, and you know the size of sound system record boxes. Yeah, carried up the stairs into my house in my bedroom. Observer sound system record box. Wicked. You know, I thought so. You know, I felt special. You know, so I had to kind of like learn the tunes, and I played the sound system there for about 2 or 3 months. At different dances, parties, Christmas, all sorts of stuff.
What time are we talking at that? Were we talking mid-80s?
I think we were talking. So this is before Kelly, my daughter, was born. So this is before 84. So I'm talking probably about 79, 80, 81 that time.
Wow. What an experience, man, for a young dude to be.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And so that kind of took you through. So I mean, from there, I mean, you remained involved with the sound off and on up until till to the present day, I guess you could say.
No, well, then you know, relations, relationships, and then met my wife, and things moved on, and had children, and then what happens is you get replaced. The younger guys come in, and then people move on. That sound system moves on. So you know, I'd say by probably about 83, 84, I disappeared off the scene.
But you were still loving your music, so it wasn't as if you weren't. You know, I mean, we have memories of you playing music at parties.
Yeah. So the music thing in me carried on, although I wasn't with the sound system. I was continuing to buy music and do my own little promotions throughout the 80s and stuff. And I was still in there with it, you know.
And I guess for that process, you develop your own style of music and the way you like to play the music, which takes us through to kind of coming on board with Soul Roots Radio. So can you tell us about that, how you get into the more recently your playing of music and so on?
I think that comes from the musical influences, really, because like I said, you know, from the early days, from the old man, it was more biased towards the soul, and I used to listen to a lot of soul, although I can remember people lending us reggae stuff. Older sister had a good friend that had a mega reggae selection, and she used to bring them. It was all pre-release stuff, and I was just kind of blown away from stuff like that. But I guess it really come from the influences, really. You know, my influences would be like Jazzy B. That's where the old Drastic Plastic thing comes from. Roy Ayers, Masters at Work, Studio One, of course, Tubbies, Channel One, Gregory Isaacs, Jam and Lewis on the soul tip, you know, Paul Trouble, of course, listening to a lot of Trouble, everyone did. Joey Negro, Pablo,
cool.
Philadelphia, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of.
I was, you know, what you're saying is all the same music that, you know, is dear to my heart as well. And I remember in Trouble very quickly. I remember we went to one of the early house parties that Trouble hosted up on the North Circular Road on Palmer's Green. And that was when, so we're talking probably, again, early 80s. And so you know, at that stage, he was just beginning to do his thing. And I remember following his progress through to then going to dance when he used to play on Camden Lock. He had a little night there, HQ, the Loft. And this was when Garage was just doing its thing. And it was an absolute joy to watch the man at work, Steve. He just had a certain, you know, you'd tape his shows, but you'd watch him live. And I mean, I think he's unique in terms of what he would do with music.
Yeah, I think you know, I think between me and my brother, we still hold a fair few recorded trouble tapes off of the radio. The guy, he was a genius, wasn't he?
He was a genius, I have to say. You know, if you've been to a trouble session, you know what we're talking.
Yeah, we know. So that's the kind of, you know, I think I've still kind of retained all of those types of grooves and genres that we've just gone through. They kind of feature in the SMB Butterfly Bits and Pieces show. The reason why it's called Bits and Pieces is that they are all bits and pieces.
Which is what I like, Steve, because when you do your shows, I know that, you know, it depends on where you want to take your flow. It could go anywhere, but it works because of what you do is stitch it together in your way with your style. So, you know, I love listening to your shows, man. I have to say they're absolutely top draw. So, and in terms of the boat thing, are you going to be? What are you thinking about playing? How you approaching that? What do you think you might be?
Well, you know, it's the big thing about the boat party, really and truly. Again, it goes back to Observer again. Mighty Observer had a resident spot there. He played there for about over 30 years. And he started out, how he got his spot there was because Rough Trade was based on Kensington Park Road, the first shop. So we used to string up outside there every year in, year out. So I was with them for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe on the trot. Yeah. So being Carnival weekend, I think you've got to kick off on the boat party. You've got to play some reggae.
Absolutely.
So, you know, so the Pablos, the D Browns, a bit of Studio One for good measure, without a doubt. And then, you know, I think I would flow into some house bangers like I normally start off the show on a Saturday, and then top it off with some 80s soul with some classic rear groove. It's a party. It's got to be done.
Oh man,
be me.
That's it, Stephen. I'm saying it's going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that. Although in person I won't be, but I know I will hear it. So somehow or another, we've got to capture these sessions.
Without a doubt. Yeah,
see, that's the point. I need to talk. We have to make sure we record it so it's all there. So you know, definitely. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all about it, and thank you for taking the time